there was a Starbucks community, but it wasn't about the beverage. In those days, in the early days, most of the businesses were about selling whole bean coffee. We sold tea and spices. We used to be called coffee, tea, and spices, Starbucks coffee, tea, and spices. And we'd sell coffee making equipment. And it wasn't until Howard figured out the beverage business. Howard was the one that figured out the beverage business that it started to change. But there was a community, but it was about people that loved coffee. It was that, the people that loved to go to basically a Jack's Meat Market. There still is up in Queen Anne, right? And so people that like specialty things, there's always a small community that starts, and it starts that way. So it was that. But then when the beverage business came, and all of a sudden, we only had 4 or 5 bar stools in the window in those days when I came. In the 28 stores, we didn't have chairs, and we weren't in the business of you coming in and sitting and talking, right? We wanted you in and we wanted you out.
Yeah.
And so then
When did that change? When did
that changed. Well, Howard was the one in 1987 that when he was still, or 86, he was still at Starbucks. And the 4th and Stewart store, it's not there anymore. It's where Seattle Best Coffee was. I don't think it's there anymore. But where the hotel is, Medical Hotel. And that was a Starbucks store. And he decided to put a beverage in, but it was only drip coffee at the time. He left Starbucks in 87 to start a company called Il Giornale. And his first store was in the big black box, the seafood store. That was called Il Giornale, and it was espresso based. Lattes, cappuccinos, and coffee. And so that's when it started. And Il Giornale was basically like an Italian cafe. You could go in and get an espresso, but you also could get a panini sandwich, handmade. And when I came, I said, let's get the panini sandwiches out of it. Because you could wait 15 minutes to get a cup of coffee with 2 people before you got a panini sandwich. And I kept saying to Howard, what business are we in? Which drove it nuts. He hated that question more than anything. You want to piss Howard off? Next time, if you ever run into him, say, Howard, what business are you in? That'll really good. Tell him Behar told you that. So as the beverage business started to move along, we had the chairs. We went kicking and screaming into the chairs. And there was a book called The Great Good Place. And Howard, I don't remember who gave us that book, either Howard or a guy named Gilbles. We had a cafe bar and a coffee bar in the New District called Allegro. It was on the alley by the University of Washington, still there. And he had chairs, and it was the old little coffee bar. And so we started adding chairs, and we didn't want to do that because that changed the business model. But our customers were asking. But we went kicking and screaming into that business, and that changed the business.
Yeah.
Now we became community. And
You actually sit down.
the Great Good Place was about community, or about the 3rd place, and that drove the business. That was the change.
Yeah. So the putting the chairs in was the.
Yeah.